And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live chat for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. I see that we are already very busy throughout social media and, of course, at the live chat in the premium dashboard. Just a reminder for all you guys that are new, okay, we answer all the questions in the chat room, in the premium chat room. Those guys get first and they get all their questions answered, and we'll go over all of them. And of course, then I take the best out of social media, see what's floating around out there. We have a lot to talk about tonight. And I want to talk about one of the things I'm going to talk about is my way of planning for the stratospheric evolution and how that impacts the troposphere, and how even right now the lower troposphere is impacting the stratosphere. We're going to talk about all of that in just a moment. As a certified digital meteorologist, number nine, um, I am going to talk about something that's very important to me because I think it needs to be addressed. And that is what is going on out there in social media land and also in other forms of media. Okay. Now, as the upcoming chairman of the board for the CDM, I'm planning on being vocal about this even more. It has to be. It has to be. It's one thing to have, some kid out there overexcited about snow posting impact snow maps 15 days out. All right, look, they're teenagers or they're weather enthusiasts. They get overexcited. They want to share. They want to talk. Okay, I mean, look, it is what it is. It's kind of like a baseball fan get excited about a trade that is completely ridiculous. Like I want your ace for three minor leaguers that are in single A, and I'll never see them play. Like stuff like that, right? It's quite another when we're seeing broadcast meteorologists, degreed meteorologists posting ridiculous nonsense. And I think that and the problem is that you try to point that out. By the way, you have a major corporation in Pennsylvania that claims that they could just name extratropical systems tropical. That claim There's others that claim that they can correctly forecast the temperature 15 days out. You can't. Um, I'm pointing this out because it's hard to um, expect a lone meteorologist starting out their career on TV to be perfect in terms of their presentation and not worry about followers and whatnot when you have a corporation that is supposed to be the leader of all of this also doing the same. So it is up to us as meteorologists, um, even independent guys like me, to point that and say, no, we need to be better. We need to be better because there's a whole conversation out there about AI, right? Replacing people, replacing meteorologists. Well, they'll replace them if you're going to post crap like this. I mean, come on. Come on. We can do better. We must do better. Okay. And there has to be a time period where we need to be smarter about what we want. And what I mean by that is that, are you interested in a million fake followers or a community that trusts you? Right now, I have a ton of people in the live chat. It's not a million. It's not even 10,000. Maybe not even 1,000. But they're here to trust me. You're here, and I consider that to be the most important thing. And I take that very, very seriously. Whether it's 5 people in July with a live chat asking a few questions, or it's 500, it doesn't matter. You have to have the same integrity, and you have to have the same um, responsibility to provide accurate, honest, realistic weather information. if that's what you're about, then the views will come, the money will come, your career will develop. If you're looking for a flash in the pan and you know, a million followers, guess what? That's all you're going to get. A million fake followers and not much else. Certainly no integrity. And no one's going to believe you when it really matters the most.
It's integrity versus instant gratification.
Exactly. 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 You know, it took me 19 years to get to this point. It's going to be a 20th anniversary this January of launching this company that started on a blog. It didn't happen overnight. I've been busting my butt working other jobs while doing this and building this. It's not going to be easy for you guys starting out. And I'm saying this because I know that there's going to be a lot of questions and we're going to get to all of them. But I know there's a lot of young meteorologists out there, a lot of meteorologists who are in college right now who are just starting out. Um, this isn't fantasy land where everything's going to be easy for you. Okay. It's not. I'm not going to feed you that BS. But if you're looking for the quick out, you're going to be out of this industry just as fast as your hit of 1,000 followers or 1,000,000 followers. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there. So now that I got that off, and again, as part of being the future chairman starting in January, I have to do this. I think that's part of my responsibility. Even if someone doesn't say it, we need to be better. We need to be better because guess what? Digital meteorology is going to take over TV, it's going to take over everything. It already is, really. So, you know, it is what it is. So, let's get to some interesting stuff here and make sure we have everything up and running. All right, so hopefully get the information. For some reason, I got a weird image overlaid on this, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it another time. So, first of all, I want to start off with what is going on with the MJO. And this is really important. This all ties in. We're going to all tie this in to what is going on in the stratosphere. Because when we're looking at the stratosphere, we're looking at the evolution, and this is going to go back to a question that was first put into the chat rooms because we're going to go back to that in a few minutes. But first, we want to set up the whole evolution because the stratospheric warming is not just a stratospheric warming happening here way up in the stratosphere all by itself. It's a symptom of a whole circulation, of a whole process. And that process is from the bottom up and back. Okay. So let's consider what's been going on. We have the developing La Nina, right? That we all know about. You know, we've been focusing in on that, and La Nina is here. You know, all zones are in La Nina category, but the model guidance, the latest model guidance is from the CFS. The European, they update that every once a month, so about the 20th. So this actually updated about 3 days ago. Look at this sharp rise here. Okay, let me zoom out. Here we are in November. Okay, our La Nina established, and then once it hits December, boom, it shoots right up towards neutral. Okay, so what's happening here? Okay, so the La Nina state has been very marginal. We've talked about the subsurface being mad, you know, not very impressive. We've talked about the SOI finally going into a positive state, right? And so it's kind of leveled off here. It's kind of reached its apex. What is driving all this? Well, let's go back to the MJO. Where have we been? This is our La Nina supportive phase. And again, this all ties back. So just walk with me here. Okay. So this whole process here was driving our tropical forcing. And while that was driving the tropical forcing, you're also starting to establish influences from the troposphere to the stratosphere. Okay, so you're building up warmth. You're building up warmth in the mid latitudes as the La Nina state was taking hold, and you're seeing more above normal heights. Let's say around the Bahamas, Cuba, Southeast Florida, for example, and you're seeing the stronger influence take shape. Now, the model guidance that we saw with the CFS, it crashes it. Why does it crash it? Well, what we're seeing here is a buildup in our MJO in phase 6 and then shooting up in phase 7. In fact, the past couple of days, the forecast is for the MJO to become rather strong in phase 7. And that's showing up in a lot of model guidance in a lot of different ways. Again, you never want to take this verbatim. You take this as, hey, what is the overall theme? And look at where the theme's going here. Look at what we're setting up here. You're setting up a wave, all right? You're building up a stronger and stronger wave in the MJO, and that builds up convection in the Western Atlantic and the Western Pacific, Central Pacific. So you're seeing more typhoons, right? Recently, it's taking shape. You're seeing more convection starting to build around the Central Atlantic, around the Central Pacific. You're seeing more heat build up in the Central Atlantic and Central Pacific in terms of our sea surface temperatures. And then you get the collapse. You get into phase 7. What you're going to see is the SOI plummet. Okay. The daily values are going to start to go negative just as strong as they're going positive now. And when that happens, the whole structure of La Nina collapses with it. Now, while that's happening, you're setting up this evolution here. You see this right here? Why is this important to me? Okay. This setup here that we're seeing, by the way, this cold pool is moderating now that we got rid of our upper level low in the Gulf of Alaska. We're seeing more above normal heights here. This whole setup here is building up latent heat release and build up of heat. And it's building up in the mid latitudes here, right? So you're building up that heat and you're setting up the forcing mechanisms that as this collapses, it's going to allow for a ridge here to really pop and really explode because you're going to get a lot of a deep trough here because of all the convective influence. Okay. The nature of the MJO building like it is tells me it's going to move very slowly. And as it moves slowly in phase 7 through November, once it gets into December, phase 8, phase 1, phase 2, slowly moving through in December, January, and February. It's the nature of the MJO here that is going to drive our tropical forcing. So why am I so concerned about tropical forcing and then try to connect that to the polar vortex? Good question. Well, let's take a look at something here. See if I got the right one. Here we are. EP flux. You guys remembered me talking about this quite a bit in the past, right? So again, we're layering everything together. So we're getting the heat building, it's growing. La Nina fired up, going to crash, die, tropical forcing, here comes a subtropical jet returning. It's all there, right? It's all right in front of you. Then you take that heat that's in the mid latitudes and you start to transport it. Where are you transporting it? Eventually, as your circulation's building, it's building up into the stratosphere, and look look what's happening here. You're getting more heat transport from the troposphere at the mid latitudes into the higher latitudes in the stratosphere. Is this showing up anywhere? Glad you asked. Bam. Hello. Hey, it's a fire. We're going to jump in the sauna. It's going to be beautiful. Look at that heat building up. So we're seeing it live now. Now it's no longer, well, the model projections and maybe. No, it's live. It's right here, right? So why are we going through this whole process? Because as I discussed a couple of days ago, pardon me, coffee time. As I discussed a couple of days ago, this isn't modelology, this is meteorology. And because this is meteorology, you have to connect the observational data of what we're seeing here at the cryosphere, the tropics, the transport from the mid latitudes to the high latitudes, from the troposphere to the stratosphere. You have to see this all come together. Then you look at the model guidance. And so, how did we get to this point? How did we know in the winter forecast, hey, this is going to become an issue? Okay, well, our QBO is negative, but not just weakly negative, it is strongly negative. If I could find the right map here. There we go. Finally. Okay, so here's our easterly QBO. Why is this important? Easterly QBO supports a buildup of this heat. It builds up that transport. And what it does is that it causes disruption naturally in the polar vortex. Now, this feature alone does not guarantee a weak polar vortex or major stratospheric warming. It just makes the environment far more likely. You have to have all the other factors to come together. So, what were the other factors? Well, we know we had a slightly above normal snow advance in Siberia that really was impressive in September into early October, kind of waned in mid October, picked up again in late October into November. That's a sign here that you're going to build up Arctic high pressure, causing the heights to build, causing that disruption to take place, allowing for that transport to take shape. You have all the sea surface temperatures we talked about. We already talked about the MJO, the mountain torque interacting, causing the conveyor belt, and then this comes together, it all aligns, and it leads to this. This solution here of a weak polar vortex makes the potential for this reversal that's showing up. Now, the models are struggling with just how much are we dealing with here. But let's make this simple. Any way you slice it, you either have an extremely weak, stretched, very disrupted polar vortex or a complete implosion of the polar vortex. Either way you slice it, you got a lot of high latitude blocking. And the reason why this is really, really important is that unlike other winters, where you start out with a strong polar vortex and you're waiting for the warm air transport to the stratospheric warming to knock it off its axle, it's already knocked off. This is just taking a hammer to a glass bowl and bashing the hell out of it and cracking everything and breaking everything off. So what you end up with at the stratosphere is you get this evolution. We're going to use the winds here. This is at 50 millibars. 10 millibars is nice. It's nice to look at, but it doesn't have as much of a direct impact on the troposphere. So I like to look at it to see the evolution, but I like using 50 millibars to see, hey, is there a chance this is going to get transported down into the tropospheric level? Because this just being disrupted at 10 millibars doesn't really do anything for us in terms of influence on the 500 millibar pattern. So we're seeing this whole process taking shape. And if the stratosphere, if the polar vortex was locked in like this, I would not be as excited because everything is transported from west to east. This, though, needs to happen in order to send the heat up here. Bam. That's what I want to see. So, why is this important? Okay. At 50 millibars, which influences 100 millibars, which influences 500 millibars, you got very strong support of above normal heights here in the Gulf of Alaska, exactly where I want to see it. That means, hey, that's just going to be toasty. You want to go up and have a nice vacation, cheap vacation in the Gulf of Alaska, do one of those cruises, you're going to be able to do it because it might be touching 60 degrees up there with this setup. All your Arctic air from Siberia and from northern Canada and the Arctic Circle and Santa Claus and all that, well, that comes streaming right down this way. Now, it's not one to one. It's not like, hey, this happens and tomorrow then the Arctic air comes. It takes some time, maybe 1 to 2 weeks. The evolution, there's going to be some timing factors, and the model guidance is going to be all over the place with all sorts of chaos. But this whole setup here builds my confidence on this whole evolution. And so if I may pull up the 500 millibar anomalies here, you can see how this all is evolving here. What's happening? Everything's starting to change. So up to about 90 hours, I have very high confidence in the forecast. because I can see the short waves, I can see how the pattern's evolving. In the 90 to 120 hour lower confidence, because don't have as good of a handle on the strength of the short waves. And then after we get beyond that point, every other model runs a different solution. And you might be asking yourself, why? Why is that the case? Well, whether you have AI model guidance or you have physical driven model guidance, the problem is that you're dealing with short waves that either are too weak to really model correctly, we don't have enough observations for it, and it's too far out to figure out what those interactions between these short waves are going to be from the Arctic Circle down to the mid latitudes. So then you end up with all these different solutions. So what do? You look at the overall theme. The overall theme is that you're building heights here, regardless of what model that you look at. You got the European, you could do the European ensembles. The European AI here. See, you're building up heights here, below normal heights here. Turn this off. See that theme? How about the European ensembles, EPS? What does that look like? Hey, same theme. Above normal heights here, below normal heights here. What does this look like? The winter forecast, the positive TNA pattern that I was talking about. You get your trough axis somewhere around here. You get your storms marching across this way towards the Tennessee River Valley. Maybe this is a little bit weaker, just a little bit further south. And you have your negative NAO signal here. You have a high pressure system here via convergence confluence. You could end up with a wintry mixed mess here and a low pressure system tracking off the coast. Or if this block is a little bit too far to the north, maybe it cuts up towards, let's say, central Pennsylvania, then redevelops towards the Gulf of Maine. I'm not giving a specific forecast. What I'm saying is that this looks awfully familiar to what I've been forecasting for the start of December. It lines up perfectly with all the observations. So everything that I'm seeing here, again, we don't want to go verbatim, but all we have to do is look at the overall theme here. You want to do the GFS? Let's do it at GFS, because we all love the GFS. Let's see what wacky crap it pulls. Oh, look at that. Above normal heights here. Trying to dig the trough here makes this ridge too strong because it can't handle convective feedback and it screws everything up. But still the overall theme. The 12Z, same thing. So it's not it's what I'm not looking for is the surface temperatures 15 days out and then getting overexcited torch, not torch, Arctic blast, Barney the dinosaur, all that crap. I don't care about any of that stuff. What I'm looking at is what are the themes? Above normal heights here, below normal heights here, some sort of blocking here, weak southeast ridge down here towards the Bahamas here. Some guys has it too strong, some too weak, but you get the overall theme of what's evolving here. And what's evolving here is you're getting the Arctic air to get ready to come down. It's setting, it's building, it's developing, and getting ready to drop south. When will it do so? I'm looking for a lake cutter in early December. It's not in the guidance or anything, but this is just my thought process here. Lake Cutter heads up towards the St. Lawrence River Valley, redevelops in the Gulf of Maine. That process drives an Arctic air mass through the Great Lakes, tons of lake effect snow. Arctic air settles in, shifts to storm track south and east. The southeast ridge gets knocked down. High latitude blocking, the negative NAO gets amplified. The EPO goes negative or is negative as a process of that. That's probably when I see that happening. Look for early December for something like that to take shape. I don't have details on that, but just the way the whole pattern's developing, what I see in my mind is that whole process taking shape and getting that Arctic air to drop south. And when that happens, then we can start talking about trying to find support for snow accumulation. But we can't do that until we get that process getting the Arctic air to drop south. And where does the Arctic air sit? Well, again, let's go back to 850 millibar temperatures. We can use the GFS here. Again, I'm not worried about verbatim. What I'm waiting for is, hey, okay, we have Arctic air building here. Do we have that in other guidance? Let's take a look at the AI guidance. Hey, look at that. There it is. Same theme. It's all building in Canada. European, regular European. All building in Canada. So it's all evolving. The same theme. Different depictions, same theme. Don't worry about the details. Just watch the overall theme. So that's where we're heading towards. And this is why, again, the long range model guidance is starting to pick this stuff up. If you're trying to find details, if you're trying to hype up winter storms, if you're trying to guarantee snowfall on the coast for around Christmas, you're going to get burned because all you need is one shortwave to be slightly off for you to be completely wrong. What I am saying to you is that we are moving in the direction for more storm activity. We're moving in the direction of more Arctic air driving into the mid latitudes and heading towards the eastern two-thirds of the United States. What I don't know is timing. I don't know the location of the strongest Arctic air, the deepest Arctic air, most likely the Great Lakes, but I'm not 100% sure. And I don't know the specific storm track. It could be right over the region, could be over the coastal waters, it could be cutting through the Poconos. I don't know yet. But the key thing to understand is that this pattern is evolving. And it's evolving towards one where you have a lot of high latitude blocking. You have a trough axis that's going to eventually set up somewhere in right around the Mississippi River Valley. Your southeast ridge is slowly going to be crushed because you lose your support from your La Nina that fades rapidly in December. And that means your storm track basically does one of these. First, it cuts up here, then it cuts up here, then we start talking about up here. And we talk about Miller B's. And yeah, if we get some warming in Nino 4 around January and February, then we can start talking about Miller A's, but not until we see that warming, right? Promise me we will not talk about Miller A's until we see positive anomalies around the date line, 180 longitude. Until we get to that point, we're not going to talk about it. And so that's why we're going to see this gradual shift towards colder weather. Just expect delays. Expect delays back and forth with the model guys, not with the weather pattern, but the model guys jumping the gun a little bit. And there's going to be a ton of phantom winter storms out there. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of phantom warm ups too. For example, the idea that we were supposed to be 60 degrees 7 days ago around this time. Instead, we're in the 40s, struggling to break 50. So that's a very important clue as well. So we're seeing it in both sides. As far as our weather pattern overall, hey, it's not too bad tonight. Not much in the way of precipitation. Our low pressure system, this vigorous little bugger here. Look at how that was pretty dynamic. This little piece of energy produced about 1 to 2 inches around Hazleton, and just to the north of Allentown. Nice little about a quarter of an inch of rainfall around here. It was impressive. It definitely was, and it keeps me interested in these mid-level, in these subtropical short waves, the subtropical jet stream, as we move into the winter. We have to really watch these because they could pop off a nice little 2 to 4, 3 to 6 inch snowfall with little notice. So I'm gonna have to be on my toes with these little features. We learned a lot from this one. Yeah, it was rain, but we learned a lot about the type of dynamics we're dealing with in the subtropical jet stream and what that could mean when we start to interact with more polar air. So very interesting setup. As far as our weather pattern as we head into Thanksgiving, we have a fast moving pattern. I don't see any major storms. Rainfall looks to be more on Wednesday. Arctic air comes in after Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, not Arctic. Polar air comes in after Thanksgiving. I'm telling you that because the cold air rushes in too, and not so much for us here, but if you have any friends and family, especially college students who happen, I know a lot of college students around Long Island head up towards Oswego and Syracuse. It's going to get awfully snowy up there. It already has been more so. Okay. right around Thanksgiving. So if you have any friends and family that are up there, they just might well want to be prepared for that. In the overall pattern, again, not too bad, even for this weekend. You got a few showers here and there, no major storms. Heading into Thanksgiving, Monday and Tuesday, good travel days. Wednesday, you got your scattered showers. It's going to be kind of all over the place. And then we're going to have our lake effect snow machine taking off, and that should be pretty interesting going forward. So we went over all the data there. Now it's time to answer your questions. It's 8:30 on the dot, so let's rock and roll. See what we're gonna do here. So let's go all the way back. I'm gonna go through all these. Then I'll drop by in social media and take a look at that. Let's see here now. I know I had. Oh, here we are. This is the one from Peter. Peter Topper asked Steve. I noticed the QBO was negative in the winter of 2011 and 12. So why the AL/NAO was positive? I thought the Arctic Oscillation, North Atlantic Oscillation, was negative during the winter of 2011 and 12. Can you explain why? Thank you. Okay, so first of all, the Arctic Oscillation during that winter went from positive in December to negative slightly in January, and back to neutral in February. Again, this is a great example of yes, the QBO was negative, but the snow growth that year was below normal in Siberia. We had a moderate La Nina, and those two factors overwhelmed any influence from the QBO. Now, the QBO did support a negative phase, but then the majority of high latitude blocking was focused more towards Scandinavia and Asia, which meant that we had more of a zonal flow over the Atlantic, which is why it wasn't all that impressive. This is a great example how you can't focus on one feature. You have to make a combination of all the features combined, and then when you do that, then you get a better idea of what the forecast is. And a lot of people make the same mistake with Enzo. Hey, we have a La Nina, therefore that means that we're going to have a a La Nina type winter or El Nino type winter. It's not. I wish it was that simple to make a forecast like that. It's not. It's actually far more difficult. And so you have to do a combination of all that. Let's see. Card says, I know past 5 to 7 days can be iffy. Well, what do the Fridays and Sunday after Thanksgiving look like, particularly from Garden State Parkway down by Atlantic City? There's going to be a threat for showers. Let me go back here, make sure I got this right. Let's see here again. Threat for showers on Friday into Saturday with a cold front. No major storms. That's a good thing. Okay. Um, a little unsettled, but nothing too crazy at this time. After that one big solar flare, CME, the sun has gotten rather quiet again pretty quickly. Seems that the active periods are getting less and less frequent, and quiet periods more as we move out of the solar max and start heading towards the minimum. Yeah, you're going to see that more and more. However, as you head towards the minimum, the whole process of going to the minimum, you're going to still see some pretty good CME events. Uh, don't be surprised we see more activity from that. So I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Let's see, looks like the recent 18Z GEFS, the Ensembles GFS, has a fairly active subtropical jet. Is that a believable feature at this point due to the weak La Nina, or is it too early yet? I would say it's too early. I'd say, okay, the subtropical jet stream has been more active, just look at the tropics this year, than normal. But I think the GFS ensembles and GFS in general has been a little bit too robust, has been dealing with some convective feedback error. I really just don't trust the GFS anymore, if I'm going to be totally honest. Statistically, it's dead last. I heard that they issued a new AI guidance via it, which is more statistics driven. Um, it's still running the same issues, but a little bit better. So I wouldn't jump on it just yet. Earth News School shows a fairly healthy subtropical jet now for what is supposed to be a La Nina. Agreed. Absolutely. In fact, let me see if I can pull that up here. Okay. So, I mean, this is a pretty healthy little feature here. Absolutely. Again, it has some of the La Nina characteristics. What would that be? You have your above normal heights here, building in towards the Bahamas. So you still have that feature showing up, the overall theme. But yeah, this is definitely robust. And we just saw one shortwave that was already pretty impressive. It's also about pushing political narratives. Oh, yeah, about. See, here's the thing. Everyone has a political bias. I try to keep any of my thoughts separate from this. What I would say is that the only way I get involved in politics is if they actually allow me to fix the GFS or blow it up, whichever. But that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, there's definitely themes depending on who you're watching. You know, it's funny how people could go from one extreme to the other. It really is. For any entrepreneur or starting a business, there are no shortcuts. That is true. Your forecasts are the only ones I follow. Thank you, Thomas. I don't like unrealistic and unreliable forecasts. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. I appreciate that. Paul says, Steve, you're the only person I pay attention to subscription to because you are real and don't overhype. You tell the truth. I appreciate that, guys. I really, really do. Um, and I appreciate you guys subscribing. It means a lot to me. Same here. I look at NWS and local app for current conditions only. Rely on your forecast exclusively. Again, I appreciate. You're gonna make me blush. See here. I am a fisherman. I fish year round. I have a Rumble account and I get monetized for posting videos, and most views I get is from fishing. This is why I pay attention to those forecasts very closely. If it's below 35, I don't go. If the wind is over 15, which we discussed earlier, I don't go. And if it's rain or snow, I don't go. Lots involved. Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard. The one thing with marine forecasting is that it's very difficult because you lack a lot of some of the important observations that you need to make an accurate forecast. But the key thing to remember, especially with your 15-mile-per-hour limit there, is that with the colder air, yeah,
Continue.
with the colder air on the continent, and you got warmer water, you're going to see those winds increase more. Do you still look for snow growth in Canada at this point? No, I just look at the evolution of the air masses at this point. What is giving you confidence of a cold January and February? Uh, okay, well that would take some time, but I would say definitely check out the winter forecast as it describes that. But I will say that the fact that we're seeing such a significant disruption of the polar vortex, that has a lasting influence. Now that might wane after the middle of February, but that's going to have a prolonged influence on December. Much like if we had a very strong polar vortex in December, like if we saw this thing amp up and it was just like a donut right over the Arctic Circle, you could trend colder in January and February, but it's going to take a while to get there, right? Because you have to break down the polar vortex. Well, the same thing here. If you completely destroy the polar vortex and you disrupt it and you build up this high latitude blocking to set up the feedback effect, it's going to take quite some time to actually get rid of that influence. So it's the same thing. It's the same process. Winter forecast you release. How are you feeling on it? Oh, I feel fine. I feel great. Every aspect of the forecast thus far, and definitely check it out and read it. Every aspect of the forecast thus far has has moved along very nicely thus far. I haven't had any worry about having to change it at all. Thank you for starting tonight's chat the way you did. I appreciate it. Thank you. That inspired me to ask something that has been on my mind for a while. I directed local news at 3 news stations from the mid 1980s through the 90s. Every weather person I worked with was a presenter, no degree. Now they all present themselves as meteorologists. Why does my gut tell me that they did not go through the schooling that you did? Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, here's how you know that you actually are dealing with a real meteorologist. This is why the CDM and the CBM is so important because you can't earn either one of them without having a degree. That's why it's important. That's how you know that you're actually talking to a meteorologist and not just some person who does really good presenting. And look, there's a lot of great presenters out there. But if you want to talk to an actual meteorologist, they're either going to be earning a certified digital meteorologist or a certified broadcast meteorologist from the American Meteorological Society. The National Weather Association also has a seal as well, but I am not aware of their testing processes. But that's how you know. Otherwise, I can't really go into exactly how they are um, going about that. And part of that is who they hire. And look, with social media, you got a lot of people running around making all sorts of statements, but they may not be a scientist. Uh, how rare is when the polar vortex is disrupted this early, especially in December? Actually, I've never experienced the polar vortex disrupted this early in my forecasting career. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. I think that's all of them in the chat room.
Something's going on with Facebook. You may not be live anymore on your page. I'm
Huh.
not sure what's going on there. It shows you live, but it's not doing anything.
So Facebook's being Facebook.
Facebook is being its POS self. Yes.
Well, that is life.
Hope so. I
Yes.
always tell you you're amazing.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah, we're married,
But
so
also check your ego.
yes, yes, and that's very important too. Have someone there who to check your ego. But most times than not, I'm the one checking my own ego and saying, hey, I'm not that important. Let's see what's going on in social media land. Let's see here in Twitch we have YouTube is very active. Let's see if we let's see here. November should feature near to below normal precipitation again until we get our storm track to settle right off the coast. I think that's going to continue to be a theme. Let's see here. I don't. Okay, so the reason why the models are forecasting a warm up is because of the storm track. I don't trust it just yet. I'd probably knock that off about maybe 5 to 10 degrees. I'm not worried about the negative PNA at all. Um, considering where the MJO is going. So let's see here. As far as any precipitation event, we're looking at maybe we're not looking for any heavy precipitation events, 10th to a quarter of an inch at most. Well, meteorology. I mean, again, military. If you are in the military and you are forecasting like for the aviation, right, right, that's similar as a degree, right? Because you have to take the same classes and everything else. They're not going to let you forecast for military pilots to land on the deck of an aircraft carrier and just give you like Met 101, or here's a meteorology for dummies. Good luck. You're going to take some really in depth meteorology courses. In fact, when I was in Oswego, this is back in the Stone Age, back in 1999, we actually had a couple of servicemen who were in our classes, especially for synoptic meteorology. They were taking it so they can move on to other things. I think one was in the Marines and the other one was in Air Force. And I think the third one was Navy or Army. I'm not sure. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that. But um, I wasn't sure exactly which one, but I knew they were all in the military. They do take real classes. So if you are interested in an AMS SEAL and you are in the military, all you have to do is just like I do with when I apply, I had to give them my transcript, right? It's the same thing. Okay. Uh, I probably wouldn't do TV weather at this point. If you had asked me when I was 20, I'd be like, yes, of course. Now, no, no. I like what I have here. Because here's the thing with TV weather. TV weather also means you have to do stuff like, oh, go talk to the clown with the a literal clown because there's a circus in town. I don't want to do that. you know, or sports event or
college team mascot.
college team mascot or
It's more
some.
plausible these days.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in that stuff. Well, thank you, Patriot Son, for your service in the Navy and Air Force. We do appreciate that. Absolutely. Um, it's, do you feel that math associated with meteorology is useful understanding the relationship between variables? Yes. This is why I have so much a hard problem with AI guidance. Um, Here's the thing with AI guidance, right? It's all based on statistics, which is great if you don't have to deal with chaos, right? If you don't have to deal with chaos, it's wonderful. It's easy. It's playable. But that's not reality. And so I'm very skeptical if you don't use physics and you don't use those equations. Because then how do you deal with chaos? Oh. Yes, in short, mathematical equations, which I still work on. In fact, I still study to this day and go over and work, and it's part of my forecasting process. The reason why it's important is because if you don't understand the mathematics and you don't understand the relationships that are going on between the lifting parameters at the vertical and horizontal level, you don't understand the transport between two different types of atmospheric environments, and the troposphere to stratosphere, and why the changes in pressure matter and the density and all that stuff. If you don't have a mathematical understanding, then you can't get to grasp the true uh, evolution of the entire weather circulation in the atmosphere. You have to have that. Now, I'm not saying you sit here and do calculus all day. I'm not saying that. But if you don't understand what those equations mean and how they incorporate with the model guidance, then you can't pick up the errors. You can't understand, hey, that looks like convective feedback error. This doesn't look realistic. This is physically not a probable scenario. And you're going to make mistakes because, again, you're dealing with chaos. Important thing is that you acknowledge those mistakes, take them in, learn from them, try to push them, put them in the back. And when you see that scenario again, you can say, aha, I made that mistake before. I won't do it again. But you can't do any of that if you don't understand the math. And yes, you will fail math. You will fail. I failed calculus 3, but I aced it afterwards. But you will fail a calculus. And here's the reason why for all you young meteorologists. Because while you're taking calculus 2 or 3, multivariable, whatever they might call it, you're also taking physics, chemistry, synoptic meteorology, climatology, and all sorts of, oh, and don't forget geology. So you're doing that all at once in your sophomore or junior year. And oh, by the way, you have to take a gen ed class too. By the time you're done with that, your brain might be jelly. So yeah, you might come to a point where you're just taking so much mathematics and so much work that you will fail a class. Don't worry. Pick yourself up, go at it the next semester. Okay? It will happen. Well, unless you're superhuman or you're genius. Okay. Let's see here. Da, da, da,
You had that random course they threw at you that had no relation to anything.
Oh, don't get me started. Oh God, that was rough.
At least those are all like sciences and stuff, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely played in together. That is for sure. Let's see here. Let's see, what do we got here? I wonder if there's any data on, with the polar vortex in November, early December, and the winters of 76, 77, 77, 78. I looked, I couldn't find any. Probably it's got to be somewhere around here, but I just couldn't find it. If storm tracks through the Poconos, will the warm side of these storms be more robust? Uh, in theory, sure. In theory, uh, or they make you stand on the beach where a hurricane's going to. Yeah, I don't like doing those. I am not doing that shit.
Watch the weatherman go away.
It's like, yeah, we're at the beach and the waves are getting. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to the beach because I understand what this storm could do. I'm not. I have strong respect for storm chasers because they collect very valuable data, but I have no interest whatsoever in jumping into a plane and flying into the middle of a hurricane. None whatsoever. You couldn't pay me to do. Why? Because A, I'm not going to get sick on TV, and B, I don't want to die. Okay? I'm not interested in being on. Gee, the waters are really rising. It's called a storm surge, you idiot. Get the hell off the beach.
Waves, you know?
No, no, thank you. You know what? I'm going to be inside. Thank you very much. Like, hey, look at the radar. Oh, look, we have cameras. We could put a camera there.
That's what
Yeah. Uh, is there a live chat next week? Wednesday? Yeah, I am expect. I do plan to do. We're going to be Thanksgiving here, and I'm going to get all the food. We're going to bring it in. We're going to be very very smart about it, and then we're going to have live chat here, just hanging out and going over. It might not be as long, um, because people are doing things, traveling for Thanksgiving and whatnot. But we'll definitely have one. The one time where we, yeah, we'll be low key, yeah. But the I will say for around Christmas, that probably is going to get pushed off a day. Maybe that Tuesday or something of that nature. We'll see. But that might be either a postponement or a push off to another day. We'll see how that we'll play it by ear depending on what's evolving out there in the weather world. Let's see what else do we got here. It's been really active, and I want to thank everyone watching here on, let's see, Twitch, YouTube, X. Not sure how many people are watching on X. Looks like quite a few. But I want, and of course, everyone here. I want to thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. You guys being here and interacting and asking questions is um, something that, again, I get to live my dream. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate it.
next time you got 574 insert now.
Wow. Well, hello to 574 of you. How you doing? And as always, this is the important time to say, if you like this channel, whatever channel you happen to be watching on,
Yeah, whichever platform.
whatever platform, whatever makes you feel comfy and warm and wholesome inside,
Gives
uh,
you warm fuzzies.
yeah, the warm fuzzies, uh, please follow, like, share, whatever. The more that people do that, the bigger this gets, and the more that we get rid of the hypesters out there, you know, because I always do appreciate it. I really, really do. Let's see here. Well, yeah, we definitely do the seven fishes, or at least most of them. Uh, it's hard to count. We're smaller now. Like, all right, when my grandmother was around, right? Definitely, all right. My uncle Frank, right? God bless his soul, and my aunt Nancy. We used to have like the seven fishes plus. You have the seven fishes. You
Just in
have
case.
you had all the cheeses, the mozzarella sticks, all the pastries, all that stuff. Then midnight hit, sausage, and go to church.
God, dude.
Yes,
I would die.
midnight hit. We go to church and sausage, and we have meat, and then and to this day now I understand why I have issues with
Oh,
staying lean, because I think I gained like 7,000 pounds or reserve pounds, just from the holidays alone.
such a midnight. Just
Yeah,
hearing
well,
that.
that's after all the
Happening.
pastries. That's after the pastries, the cannolis, the cakes, all that stuff. Uh, I can't do that anymore because now we know about diabetes, so we don't do that so much anymore. Let's see here. Uh, let's see. The first freezing, look, when it comes to freezing day, like freezing reading. Well, I think we already hit. Oh yeah, we're around 33. I wouldn't be surprised. First week of December, first freezing low. Climatology is extremely important for meteorology. Let's see. Fish, late ladle soup, and pierogies for Christmas Eve. Hey, that's a good combination too. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Uh, So yeah, I mean, as far as high temperature, I probably say mid to late December. Low temperature, probably the first week or two of December. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised before Thanksgiving we see that. The way that the cold air masses, it just won't last. Nothing sustained just yet. The resilient ridge, no, because you're going to lose your La Nina. Let's see, what are the ground temperatures right now? Let's see. The last I checked, they were in the mid to upper 40s on the coastal plain and upper 30s to lower 40s in the interior. Higher elevation zones were right around freezing. Now that you're talking about food, are you a good cook? I make excellent crepes.
No,
I
you do the grilling.
do all the grilling. I'm really good at grilling. I am a master griller.
That's your domain.
That's my domain. She does all the baking and she does fish and stuff like that. I do not touch fish. I was scared. Yeah, that's you. That's definitely I do not. But I definitely do all the grilling, chicken, beef, ribs, all that stuff. I can make excellent pancakes. I make it excellent. Yeah, yes, yes, and I make an excellent omelet. I do. I make very good omelets.
Actually, you liked my pancakes when I made my recipes.
I love everything you make. Are you kidding me? Come on. Even vegetables, and you know how much I don't like vegetables. You don't. You you do not look. You underestimate yourself way too much.
I don't give anybody food poisoning, so that's a plus.
Well, gee,
Hey, I've seen some things online, and oh boy, you can't eat at everybody's house.
look. All I'm saying is this, right? Is that if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to do this, and you do a very good job of cooking. And I don't like eating. Before her, I never ate vegetables. Now I eat vegetables sometimes.
Yeah, balance.
You know.
I hate the vegetables I like. You know,
Yeah.
everybody has things they like and things that's like hell no, get it away from me.
Let's see. So I think we answered all the questions. Again, I'm really appreciative of everyone joining. It's really cool. Oh, if the Appalachian Mountains, um,
So,
from understanding older than the Rockies, I think Taller at some point. Why did the Appalachian Mountains get more affected by weathering? My understand. Oh, okay. All right. I get it. Okay. If the Appalachian Mountains, from my understanding, are older than the Rockies, why aren't they as tall, right? Well, because the Rockies got the way that our geology is set up in North America is really interesting. You know all those Great Lakes, they're all here because of glaciers. Glaciers got all the way down to like nearly Florida, and they kind of influenced part of the development of the Appalachian Mountains and the interaction between the Atlantic plate and the North American plate is what built up the Appalachian Mountains, but they kind of got knocked down a bit because of the interaction of glaciers. And then, of course, with the glaciers, you have melting water, so that runs down. You have your sediment. That's why you have more sediment on the East Coast. And also, that process is why the East Coast is sinking because we have that type of soil and the type of plate that is starting to sink. So, all right. So, as a result, this is one of the reasons why you're seeing a decline in our coastal zones because of partially because of rising sea levels, but also because we're seeing the sinking of the coastal plain. Don't worry, it's going to take millions of years for it to all play out. And the sea level is only rising at maybe like a tenth of an inch, so it's not huge. So no one's getting flooded out in New York City. Don't worry about that. Do you think a wind reversal is actually going to happen? I think it's going to get damn close. I wouldn't be surprised if we get down to like maybe like 3 miles per hour, 3 meters per second in the stratosphere. You can make the case for it to get to minus 3 meters per second. It's going to be somewhere around there. It's going to get very, very, very close. But we have to watch it. Either way you slice it, it's going to be a major stratosphere. It's going to be a very, very weak polar vortex. Okay. I think we're almost done. Is there anything else?
yeah, Jeff.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Good to hear Susan keeps you grounded. You need it. Warm lakes and oceans should play heavily in the next few weeks of cold air intrusion. Absolutely. Get a, get a Miller to tap into the warm Gulf, and we could have a good nor'easter with blocking. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You get everything lined up just right. Mm. You're going to have some very interesting weather here in December. Um, what I like seeing is the buildup of the lake effect snow. It's going to build up your snowpack, and that's going to make things some very interesting. Why is that important? Okay, when we talk about winds funneling in, right? When we talk about northerly winds and northeasterly winds, we're talking about sending air masses from New England and central New York into our neck of the woods. If you're building up a sustained snowpack, that means the polar and Arctic air masses up there are not going to moderate, and you're dealing with fresh, dry, cold air. So the more snow you build up in the eastern Great Lakes and in New England, the stronger support you have later on in the winter or even later on in December for your sustained cold air damming. So all of this is connected. The fact we're seeing a lot of snowfall build up in the eastern Great Lakes now is very, very important because it all plays into the cryosphere around here and the transport of low level cold air.
Someone on it said thank you.
Thank you. There you go. And it is 9:01, and my voice is starting to get a little froggy. Let's see. I'm not going to do snowfall totals. I'm not going to do it because I don't know. I don't have the data. There's no point in me guessing, and I'd rather not be held accountable for that. Uh, oh, I love eating onions. Oh, I love my sautéed onions. It's wonderful. Spinach too. I do like. You know what I like? I like broccoli rabe. I like that. I could eat a ton of that. You don't like it so much, but I love when you make it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yes, which I will have some. Not tonight, but definitely some. But I think that's pretty much it with the questions for tonight. Again, outstanding job for all of you. Thank you so much for helping. We are on raccoon search because we actually have a raccoon now that is visiting our backyard.
Cool.
Yes.
That is very interested in our persimmon tree. It's
Yes.
coming in and eating the persimmons
It's
and then just
cli-
walking off when it's done.
yeah, it waddles. That really walks. This thing is
That's
huge.
it's a fluffy.
It's a big, fluffy raccoon. It is huge, and it just kind of waddles around and doesn't really care. But it's not even interested in anything else, just our persimmons.
I call it fluffy
So,
bud.
so we're definitely watching it to see if it shows up. We also have a very fluffy squirrel and chipmunk. So keyword
And
here.
then we had a bird crash into our window.
Yes, we had a woodpecker slam into our house. So.
Into the back door.
Oh no, we don't get anywhere near it. We watch it from the inside. We don't get
No,
anywhere near it.
That's
Yeah.
stupid.
We have the persimmons laid out because we don't want it climbing
Well,
and falling out of the
anyway.
tree.
I just
Yeah.
got some. I just plucked
Um,
some long ones and put them
so we don't touch a raccoon. We would just watch it, and
Nope.
she took videos of it. But
I
we're
can
not.
appreciate nature, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah, we're not. I want to give it a little hat though.
No hats.
No hats. Oh well. I think it needs a hat. But
Oh, wait,
yeah,
before we go.
yeah.
Yes.
What? Oh, what do we have here?
Check that out.
Oh, guy accepted it. This is Philly weather. Hey, guy accepted at Penn State. Congratulations. Maine last week for meteorology. Outstanding. It's a very good school. First of all, thank you for sharing so much information and helping me find my passion. Second, do you have any tips for college? And also, I might want to double major in one of the engineering majors. Is that too crazy? Thanks. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit over, but this is really important, especially for someone else. Okay, so my suggestion for college: one, give yourself break time, Saturday or Sunday. Two, stay away from Greek organizations. You are taking a serious, heavily science and mathematics organization, and you don't have time to do any of that drinking games or doing shit at 3 a.m. or any of that partying. Forget that stuff. Watch. Just don't bother. Okay. Three, give yourself the latitude to fail. You must fail in order to grow. Okay. And so with that, it's okay to struggle. Just take it in and look for help. Look for tutoring help. Give yourself the grace of having to get used to a new environment. College is different from high school. High school, you memorize shit and you repeat it. College, you have to think, why is this the case? Why is this a law? Why is this a theory? Okay. So you're no longer copying and pasting whatever is in a book. You have to think about it. Okay. Don't take too many classes. Double major, it's aggressive. Engineering is a it has a lot of physics involved, so you're going to be taking the same classes, but your core class, it might be a lot to ask. Okay, I don't know how well you take things in that respect. And I know Penn State, when I got into Penn State, I decided to go to Oswego because for me, the way I learn, I don't do well with large classrooms. Like I'm not good with like 600 people in the same class and me not being able to talk to the professor. That's why I liked Oswego a lot. Um, so that's why I went there. Rutgers was a little bit too big for me, just the way I learned. So it depends on how you learn, how you take in data, how you take in information. Um, but give yourself a great. My biggest thing is that give yourself the latitude to get used to everything. Don't take too many classes your freshman year. Take take an average amount of classes. Kind of fill out how well you are used to the college environment. Um, Enjoy yourself, but don't go too crazy. And get involved in organizations, especially in your Met Lab. Get involved with the AMS there, because if you get involved with the student chapter of the AMS, I did this in Oswego. I know they have it in Penn State. Not only do you get exposure with some of the sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But when you run into issues, at least you have someone to talk to. And you will need that rant period as well. And get to know your advisor, your meteorology advisor. You'll have a college advisor. Get to know that person really well because they'll be able to connect you with a lot of tutors and a lot of perspective in those classes. You will run into some professors that are complete jackasses. It's going to happen. Um, Much like if you were in workforce, sometimes you just have to say okay and just kind of buckle down. And like I said, you will fail a class eventually at some point, but that's okay because everyone fails, everyone struggles. You will fail a test. You will walk into a testing situation where you forget how to write your name. It's happened to me before. And that's because I had four finals in a row. I had physics, chemistry, synoptic meteorology, and then the last one, no, it was calculus, chemistry, synoptic meteorology, and then when I got the physics, I couldn't remember how to write my name. My brain was so fried, right? That will happen at some point. Don't get scared. It's okay. It's okay. But give yourself that latitude. All these things will happen, and all of them will make you a better scientist because it happened. Just embrace it, take it in, and take one step at a time. So I think that's a good way to end the night. I think that really helped younger students, which is always important. So, and by the way, I'm going to be at the American Meteorological Society meeting in January. This is the first time I'm going to the large meeting, the large conference. I'm actually presenting. So if you're a student that happens to be going to that, or another meteorologist happen to go to that, definitely hit me up. I look forward to getting involved and talking to you and just getting involved with everyone, having fun. In the meantime, that's it for tonight. Thank you for following. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay safe out there.